Is your goal to get an athletic scholarship? Do you see yourself playing at the professional ranks one day? Do you envision getting a gold medal at the next Olympics? Well, to do that requires an everyday commitment. You have to have an edge. And that's what I'm talking to you about today, gaining your edge. Check out my course, The Edge. This is going to give you all the principles in social dynamics to guide you to success. Check out my course, The Edge. The link is on the homepage of sportsmastery.com. Welcome back to the show, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, heroes and villains. I'm your host, Deshaun Fauntleroy. I have the wonderful Suhey Gomez on the show again today, and we're going to really keep it simple. We're going to talk about something that's simple, however, it's often overlooked, and that's breathing techniques, using your muscle to mind relaxation skills. So that's what we're going to be discussing today, and we're going to offer some input, some problems, and some solutions. So, Suhey, I know that this is something that you wanted to talk about. Let's get into it. When we talk about breathing for performance, breathing for success, breathing in stressful situations, talk to us about that.
Like you mentioned, I think breathing is like the most fortunate natural gift that we have, where it's here with us all the time. And it's one of those very subtle techniques that we do naturally, instinctively. Obviously, we all need to breathe, that it can do, given a chance, it can do so much for us. Taking slow, deep breaths and slowing down and, really connecting to your breath can really lessen a lot of tension. It can lessen some stress. It can take away those stomach butterflies when you're about to perform as an athlete or performer or anyone, an individual. For example, I know for me, like breathing is part of like my intentional breathing. It's part of my everyday. It's like brushing my teeth. It's like going to the gym. And it's one of those that, again, we do it, a lot of like the mental skills that we talk about on here, that we do a lot of them not intentionally, we do them instinctively. And they're always there, but it's until we like learn and are able to be aware of what they are that we can practice and consistently enhance with them. And that's the beauty about these skills, that, even like breathing, a certain like rhythmic breathing or racial breathing, or just a simple circle breath that we'll talk a little bit about, is when we know about it, then we're able to really see it and be able to capture it.
So you discussed the circle breath, or you mentioned that. What does that mean, or what kind of breathing is that?
So the circle breath is essentially a simple breath, like just like we're breathing right now, but it's more intentional. So in other words, you are inhaling and pausing and exhaling. So in other words, you are actually intentionally thinking about your breath. And in sports psych, it's known as a circle breath, or just a simple deep breath. And through inhaling through your nose and then pausing slightly and then exhaling, is that full, complete breath. That's what it's called, like a full circle, complete breath. And again, going back to the intention of actually doing it. A lot of us, so you'll hear too that, athletes or performers will breathe, but we won't do it correctly per se. When one actually does it correctly, you can actually feel your stomach like blow up like a balloon. And that is something that we get taught as students, a sports psych, that when you see, like if you want like an athlete or performer or someone like us, you're in front of, hear us doing it. If you put like your right hand in your stomach and then say your left hand in your chest, you actually inhale with your nose and you feel your stomach blow like a balloon, like you're blowing up a balloon. And then when you exhale, your stomach should go down, like the balloon is deflating. And your shoulders should move, but more so the bottom, like your diaphragm areas where it should move. Usually a lot of folks will breathe and they'll move their shoulders up and down. That actually can create tension. So the really important thing is, if you want instruct someone to do a full circle breath, like we could do it now. I put my hand in my stomach and then my left hand in my chest. And if I breathe in, say for 4 seconds, I inhale. And then I hold it, say for 1. And I exhale, let's say for 4. So my shoulders are essentially very slightly like moving, but it's more my stomach area where it's really showing. And it's that intentional like concentration in that breath that really gives you that circle breath or that complete breath. And the more you do that, the more you see how you can slow down in the moment, especially say you're about to do a race or about to do a jump shot or be out in the field or with football and you need to concentrate. Maybe you have a pre-performance routine. Within that pre-performance routine, you are doing your full circle breath, whether it be just 2 full complete breaths. That in a sense already can get you here where your feet are and get you more present and grounded in that moment to execute and enhance that performance the next level.
So basically what you're saying is that when you're in certain situations that might be a stressful situation or might be a pressurized situation, there's ways that you can deal with tension. There's ways that you can deal with fear. There's ways that you can deal with self-doubt, anxiety by controlling your breathing and being present in the moment.
Yes.
Because contemplating this conversation and thinking about our meeting today, it brought me back to, it's like everything is in the sporting realm. We teach a lot, we talk a lot. There's different progressions. There's audio learning, there's visual learning, there's doing it, the kinesthetic side of everything. But to get to where we want to be, you have to relax, because if you can't relax, you're not going to learn. If you can't relax, you're going to be competing in a tense fashion, and you're not going to, reach your genetic potential or reach your peak for where you are at the time. And I know me and you, we often talk about breathing. We often talk about the kids just have to relax. But, what the hell does that mean when nobody ever discuss it? All we say is relax, relax, versus, okay, let's just slow down and control our breathing. Let's take them inhales. Let's blow it out. Let's inhale for 4 seconds. Like you said, hold it for 1 second, exhale for 4. And I know some people, they'll inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 4, then exhale for 4. I think that that's still circle breathing. There might be some minor differences depending on who you're talking to, but it's the same. We want to get you present in the moment. And if you're a sports parent listening to this, if you're a young coach listening to this, you have to remember that if your kids can't relax, or if you can't teach them to relax, they're not going to do everything that you want them to do. They're not going to be able to learn as efficiently as another kid or athlete would that is relaxed. They're not going to perform as well as they should because they're playing with tension. They're playing with anxiety. And one of our things as coaches is to relieve tension and relieve anxiety in our team or our athletes, so we can perform together and perform well as a unit, team, or organization.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mentioned this for me as being a student, being a former athlete and just performing in every day when I'm out, with school or other things, it's that simply even concentrating on your breathing, just connecting back to it as more, we talk about all of this and then I always go back to okay, so yeah, but then how do I do this? And it goes back to practice. It goes back to consistency. Just like all things when we're at the gym or you're playing, you got to have that practice in order for it to become consistent in your life. Same thing goes with these mental skills we're talking about. They're basically like mental games. You need to put them into play in order to be able to continue and actually use these. Another example, for me in real life, I do my intentional breathing every day. I have a rhythmic pattern that I use, and it's 4 times a day. And again, it's become part of me. And that helps me to stay more present as opposed to be focused so much on the future or on the past. Because all we do have is here. And with that, the help is this mental skill or this muscle to mind relaxation skill of a full, complete breath. And I feel like so much it gets overlooked, like something we already have so innately. And again, just being able to slow down and keep coming back to that. And the more we do it, the more we'll start seeing the benefits of either decreasing the stomach butterflies or lessening the muscle tension or that racing heart rate to go down. It really can do wonders.
Yeah. And one thing I'd like to add is that even us coaches, if you're listening to this, you have to learn how to relax too. And I've been guilty of getting excited. If an athlete, made a good play, definitely made a mistake. Don't make 2 or 3 mistakes in a row because we will get excited. We might start raising our voice, jumping around. Coaches do different things to show, I'll just say, our antics, but we have to learn how to relax too, because if you're tense, that energy is going to rub off to the players, and then the players are going to become intense or excited. So one of the things that we have to do as coaches, we have to take this breathing component serious too. And the reason why I say that is that, you have to relax, because one, it's a long game. The kids are going to make mistakes, but if we're the coach, they have to see us relaxed. If you call a bad play, so what? And that's the beauty of us reflecting on games and things like that. Like, you as a coach, how are you feeling during this moment? What made you react the way you did? When, based on what we're talking about, at times during the game, we have to know how to slow down and control our breathing too. So then that we can think clearly and then make the best decisions on certain plays or certain calls, or, implementing certain strategies, or tactics, on the field, diamond, or court. That's going to be very difficult to do if you're tense, you're up in sorts, you're yelling and screaming up and down the sideline. It's going to be a disaster at some point. And the worst case scenario is going to be you're always going to lose, you're never going to succeed, and you're not going to reach the pinnacle of where you would like to be, and this is all from a relative standpoint.
I was thinking about, again, going back to, relaxing and using this and making it more like simple, stupid, as opposed to, okay, this is great, all this information. Like, I wonder, do you do breathing, Deshaun? Do you actually go
I do,
on?
because I
Yeah.
do yoga. I take yoga
Okay.
classes. So all of this is relative, and I've done Tai Chi in the past. I mean,
Oh,
that was a
cool.
long time ago, but you can see there's, even at the basic level of Tai Chi, there's inhaling and exhaling with each
Mhm.
movement. And the type of yoga class that I go to, it's an inhale and exhale with every single movement, you know so applying that to life, when you do it so much and you read about this stuff and you
Mhm.
meditate and you listen to different forms of meditative music, it kind of becomes a part of who you are and what you
Right.
do throughout the day. So it takes practice, and you have to make it a practice. And that's what we talked about in on a past episode, is that you have to practice the practicing, or practice the practice. And it might seem difficult, weird, and things like that, but you have to get over that uncomfortable feeling of doing something new. If you've never done it, or never set cross leg up against the wall, breathing, or putting one hand on the stomach, one hand on your chest, like Suhei was saying earlier. And, sometimes it might be easier to lie down, but if you're not in a situation where you can lie down, you have to sit in your chair or at your desk or stand up at times.
Yeah, absolutely. I think about a cue, like, okay, I know in the beginning, for me, I would say now I'm confident to say that I'm pretty competent and conscious about of doing this breathing every day. But I remember in the beginning, sometimes too, when I'm really busy or just doing so much, which is normal, we have all busy days, is like a cue for me is looking at my feet, like, wiggling my toes, like, all right, I'm here. And then I take like that breath to get me back and centered to what I'm doing now. So I think that's also a nice little add-on to, like, okay, let me just think I should breathe right now, rather like, is there something, a cue that's for you that can remind you to, like, I guess, trigger that rhythm or that go to start like actually breathing in that moment, because we get
Yeah,
so
for
busy
me,
in our head.
sometimes I just have to close my eyes for like 10, 15, 20 seconds. If I could just close my eyes and just sit still and think
Mhm.
about what needs to be done in that moment. And it is similar to like the meditation, is you just have to get quiet, you know. And I'm talking to the coaches out there. Sometimes you just got to shut up and just let the kids play, make the appropriate substitutions, call the play, and just be quiet. Don't say nothing, and then when you have to make an adjustment, make the adjustment. You don't have to add anything to that in terms of conversation or talking to the athletes. And this is at times, obviously, you want to let them know when they make mistakes and things like that. But we're trying to get the kids to relax and not think, where everything is intuitive and they're using like their instincts and they're perceptive. You can't play at the highest level if you're always thinking. So that's the whole point, of being able to relax. So then you can take in information. That might be information from the other team, you know. This is really good. And I think this is next level material when you get to the highest levels, the elite levels in any sport. These are some of the things that they're practicing relaxation, because if all of the talent is the same, if everybody can run the same speeds, jump the same heights, move the best in the world, where what's going to separate them? And generally it comes back to thinking, breathing, being able to relax when you're under fire and under tension.
Yeah, I think you brought a good point about automatic or being doing things like an autopilot. That's one thing that, again, as a student, as a future like mental skills consultant and future psychologist, it's something that's a goal. You share all these techniques and these skills, and again, going back to that practice and going back to the consistency. Eventually, the hope is that, and I always trust that it's going to happen, that it becomes automatic and you're thinking less, and it just becomes part of your muscle brain, or I mean your muscle movements when it comes to your mind. And also, you said like elite athletes, definitely this is one of the things that gets them to the next level. And you will read articles, you will see the big time athletes like doing these mental skills in order to enhance their game, and it becomes automatic. Why? Because they've been practicing it with someone, whether it be a psychologist or a mental skills coach or just a coach, that's getting them through those steps in order to continue to practice these skills for them to become automatic. Because that's the win. You don't want to be thinking all the time, oh, I got to do this. It becomes more part of your routine or your pre-performance routine, part of your cue, part of your way of doing things when you go out in the field.
Yeah, because when you think about this all, it brings this all back to our visualizations and affirmations. And while you're doing these things, you have to see yourself breathing properly, see yourself in stressful situations, and then see yourself with your emotions high, but see them coming down, see yourself making a mistake and then making 4 big plays after that, you know. So these are some of the things that we talk about in the Sports Mastery workbook. I'm telling you, y'all have to check out the workbook, because all of this is in there when it comes to breathing, when it comes to your affirmations, when it comes to your visualizations. This is what we're talking about on helping you take your game, craft, or skill to a higher level. Suhei, before we close out, what would you like to add to this conversation? What haven't you mentioned? What do you want to get off of your chest?
I would say, like, again, speaking on like breathing, it's something that's very subtle, but I think it's so impactful and can really make a change, not only like in your body physically, but also with your thoughts. And really not taking for granted that your breath work can really enhance you in many areas. And there's so much information online and all of that, and just simply by what I mentioned, like a deep circle breath, from inhaling to a slight pause and then exhaling, whether it be a rhythm, a pattern, or just concentrating on your breathing, which is part of a breathing technique, to just stay with your breath and see it move with you, can do so much. And just taking that 1 or 2 seconds or maybe 10 seconds to connect to that breath of yours, and it can really do a lot. So hopefully this is I trust that it is useful information and something very practical that the audience can actually take with them and utilize. And if it's not necessarily using it right now, at least they have new information of what can really do wonders for enhancement.
Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first with Suhei Gomez. You're listening to the Sports Mastery Podcast. I hope this works for you. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, don't hesitate to reach out to the Sports Mastery website. Peace and blessings.